Goes left, pulls up, looking for the lead, and he got it. Jalen Williams, 2 seconds, 1:11.109. Now SGA, probing, piercing, spinning, hanging for the lead, and SGA knocks it down. The Thunder finally get the defensive stop, and SGA puts them in front.
I'm Kenrich Williams. You're listening to Topic Thunder.
And welcome in, everybody, to another edition of the Topic Thunder podcast. As our boy Kenrich Williams just said, I'm your host, Dylan Hunsinger at Thunder Chats, where you're part of the B-Weave network. Of this podcast is brought to you by BetOnline.ag. Now that is out of the way, before we get to my co-host here, I actually have a new ad read for the aforementioned sports network that we're talking about, B-Weave Sports. Not B-Weave Sports, I'm sorry, BetOnline.ag. Just forget I said any of that. Here we go. So, basketball fans, it is that time of year again. The NBA is back, and don't we know it? From opening tip-off to buzzer beaters, BetOnline has you covered with the best odds, biggest promotions, and live in-game betting on all your favorite teams, like the Oklahoma City Thunder. This season, every game matters. BetOnline has every stat, matchup breakdown, live odds to bet on during the game. And it's not just NBA. BetOnline has odds for everything, from football, MLB playoffs, which I think just got tied up, by the way, in the 9th inning. So shout out. NHL to political props, which I'm still blown away that you can bet on political props, but besides the point. Head to the website today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. Bet Online, the game starts here. And the pod starts here. And we can't go any further without introducing the co-host, the producer extraordinaire, Matty Double Dribbles, the tyrannical one. Tyranny, what's up, man?
Good. It's a little behind the scenes. We were supposed to start streaming at 9:15. It is 10:07.
We've just been chatting.
We were just chatting for like 30 minutes straight. And but we're live now. It's a Friday. Hope you're all having a good start to your weekend. We had a great game Thursday we're about to talk about. Just feeling the good vibes. Feeling the good vibes.
Good vibes, man. Vibes are absolutely immaculate in Thunderland. As you know, we played a basketball game. The inaugural game of the 2024-2025 season kicked off last night in Denver, live on TNT. And wouldn't you know it, the Oklahoma City Thunder was victorious, 102-87 against the Denver Nuggets. And so much happened in this game. There were so many takeaways. It's been really cool, kind of seeing the national attention around this game and like hearing what people's opinions are on not only the Thunder, but, you know, the Nuggets as well. But, you know, we're going to give our takes here with the segment we like to call the single large item. All right. Single large item. You guys know the deal.
Sorry.
What? Okay. I was like, what?
I had the stream pulled up on my phone.
I gotcha. Single large item, you guys know the deal. If this is your first time, I will be happy to explain it to you since this is the beginning of the season. Basically, there's so many things to talk about in the game. We like to try to break it up into small segments. So usually we have multiple people on the pod. We each talk about one thing, and then we kind of like rapid fire through the leftovers. Since it's me and Tierney, we're going to have multiple single large items, more like a double large item, maybe even a triple large item. But yeah, that's the scenario here. So Tierney, I'm going to kick it to you. I'm going to let you get things started here. What is your single large item for the Oklahoma City Thunder Denver Nuggets game?
Well, I mean, there's got to be one we start with. There's got to be one. Chet Holmgren might be a dark horse for the MVP, dare I say, after just tonight's game. That's a bold take. I can see it in your face, Dylan. That was a very bold take.
It's a wild take, but I like it.
Wild take. We've already got a guy on this team that's going for that accolade this year. But no, I mean, probably not in that contention. But it's a fantastic game from Chet Holmgren. The start of the game in general for the team, but particularly Chet, was pretty slow and a little sloppy, a little discombobulated. But I thought after that first 5 minutes, maybe the first quarter, everybody kind of locked in, and Chet just completely dominated the game against a 3-time MVP. A lot of people, because we're doing this on Friday night. There's already been sort of talks on other podcasts, other national media about sort of how Chet was great, and particularly like his physicality. And I think that's definitely something that was of note. I think it was important to note how he used his physicality differently than he did in the first few minutes, because in the first possession of that game where he posted up on Jokic, and Jokic being a bigger guy just kind of like stonewalled him there.
Yeah.
After that possession, I think there may have been a couple after that. He sort of switched, and I don't know if it was the coaches or if it was him, but he used his physicality and his athleticism completely differently the rest of the game, and that unlocked everything. He was getting to the rim because he was able to be more athletic than Jokic and get him on his side, or get Michael Porter Jr. on his side, and then that is where he went through contact and finished. He wasn't going right at the guy. That was a huge change just from those first few minutes. But then, there was other things like his ability to find kind of the weak spots of the defense, that sort of middle of the paint, the baseline areas where he was sort of able to do that mid-range. He wasn't great from outside, he was 0 for 5, but his mid-range shot was on point tonight, or yesterday, I should say. And kind of putting all of those things together offensively, he completely turned it around after that initial phase. But then, defensively, it was the same old Chet. Like, he had 4 blocks. That one on Jokic, that ended up being that transition slam, everybody's probably seen it at this point, was awesome. He was doing so many great things on the court tonight. And not tonight, sorry, yesterday night. I'm pretending like I
You keep saying that. It's funny.
I apologize. It's still so real to me. So much of Chet last night was so much fun to see after that first quarter, and really makes you wonder if going from that first few minutes to the rest of the game was a turning point in this sophomore year for him, where he's going to be able to use that athleticism continuously in those ways. Now, obviously, not everybody is as, Jokic is a little bit more slow-footed defensively. There's probably going to be cases like that throughout the season, but other big men are not going to be that slow. So who knows? But that was a point of emphasis I noted, and something that I think is very promising for the Chet fans out there. That I think he's going to have I think he is not going to be an MVP candidate, my hyperbolic statement at the beginning, but definitely an all-star candidate after what we saw tonight.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It was probably a year early on my all-star. Hey, now Chet's an all-star song, but it's all good.
We'll run it back.
Well, I've got to change the lyrics up because there's a lot about it being, hey, now Chet's an all-star as a rookie. So he's no longer a rookie. But, yeah, I mean, his stat line, 25 points, 14 rebounds, which very impressive. 5 assists, 2 steals, 4 blocks. Shot 61% from the field. As you said, he was 0-5 from 3, but he got to the line for 5 free throw attempts. He hit 3 of those. We still need to see the free throws, go down, but it's like Joel talked about in the pod on Tuesday. Like, when we was talking about like what the next step is for Chet's development, and, his answer was, Chet has gotten to the line in this preseason at a rate that is much higher than he was in the regular season last year. And he's like, now, obviously it's the preseason, but if that continues, then, he can see a scoring, I guess the scoring go up, and also it will, open things up for the offense a little bit more. And hey, I mean, like clockwork, man. Like five free throw attempts, and I made the note on Twitter last night. Like Chet was as aggressive as I've seen him in a Thunder uniform. Like
Absolutely.
it was like I'm still not sold on the shot, like the 3-point shot. Like I know like it doesn't look drastically different, but it does not look like it's comfortable for him compared to like last year. But I will say, you know, the mid range, like, you know, it was looking good. I would say he looked more comfortable dribbling and driving the ball than he was last year. And there was multiple times where he would get the ball in the corner and he would attack a closeout. He would do the thing where he like kind of fakes, like he jabs toward the baseline, then he would drive into the middle. And there was a couple times, you know, he'd do that and he'd just get all the way to the rim. But there was also, I think there was 2 times that it happened that he would do that, and then a help side defender would come up to try to take a charge because Chet's got a head full of steam, and Chet would just stop, pop, and raise right over top of him, and it was pure, like it was money. And I was like, brother, if you're hitting it that easily in the mid range, like what happened to your 3-point shot? Like it needs to be studied. But
that is interesting too because of I think the closeout is something that would be a bit worrying if his threes aren't falling. Because I agree with you. I think his outside shot doesn't look great. I know we joked last time with Joel about that video and how you know it was a practice or whatever. Can't think of the word, but it wasn't his real shot. The point is like it was an overcorrection by us. But I do think that was something potentially that could have made him a little bit uncomfortable with the threes. And if defenses start to recognize that, that's a bit of a problem because then they're not going to close out. They're going to do what we did with the Nuggets yesterday, where we stopped closing out on them and just kind of forced them to make threes, and they didn't. And if that's going to happen with Chet, I am a little bit worried that he's not going to be able to get past his initial guy that closes out and get that mid-range shot. But tonight he did, and he capitalized on it almost every time. And yeah, I think that there's a lot to be said about his ability to hit those mid-range. And the other thing too, with his ability to drive and you know the guy goes up for a charge or goes up to contest, is he was also making some really good plays to other guys. And there was a couple plays in the first half where he got it to Dort, I think, who was cutting baseline for an and one. I think he got it to Dort again in the same type of play, not an and one, but
Dort got the dunk.
Yeah, the like those moments where you know he saw the guy open from the defender that came up over to help. Those are also great things to see, because I think one of the things heading into the season was with Giddey out, Chet's probably going to be a bit of a playmaker more than he was last year, and you know those moments are something to highlight. So other positives from Chet this year. For sure.
Yeah, we talked about his aggression, and I said he's got 14 rebounds. Pop quiz for you, Tierney.
Ooh.
What do you think Chet's career high was in rebounds last year?
Well,
I guess what was his highest last year is what I'm going to say. I'm sorry.
My guess is, because you're answering this question, it was less than 14. So I'm going to say 13.
It was actually 14, but
oh dang.
Yeah, okay. I mean, he only got that twice last year, and it was in March. It was against the Trailblazers and the Jazz. The fact that he is getting 14 rebounds against the Denver Nuggets, which is not just Jokic, but also Aaron Gordon is a good rebounder at the power forward position. Michael Porter Jr. is a good rebounder at kind of like the 3-4 tweener position. It's just that much more impressive. And everybody got really excited for Hartenstein, whenever we signed him, like, oh, now we're not going to lose the rebounding battle, this, that, and other, blah, blah, blah. And like, that still is probably true. But with Hartenstein out, you love to see Chet stepping up in that area. And it could just be because, his body's had time to grow and develop a little bit more in the off season. But yeah, if that's the sign of things to come, it's going to be a good time.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, my single large item, if you're going with Chet, then I've got to go with the other side of the stock market. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, man. Like, talk about a guy that just picked up right where he left off in terms of scoring the basketball, but also showing things that has developed in his game. Like, Shai, there's an argument to be had about who the best player on the floor was between Chet, Shai, and Jokic, because Jokic, as much as Chet did dominate him on offense, he still had a triple-double. But, dude, Shai's stat line was nuts. 28 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks. Shot 45% from the field, kind of struggled to get a shot going a little bit, but shot 2 of 6 from 3-point line. Again, not great efficiency, but love the volume. Like, I would love to see Shai shoot 5, 6, 7 threes a game. Got to the stripe 5 times, hit 4 of those. Only turned the ball over twice. And obviously, the scoring is always going to be there from Shai. Like, he was getting there on the mid-range. He was breaking dudes down off the dribble like crazy. Like, he had one where he, did, a double crossover and just, fluidly, started to step in the middle of his crossover, blew right by the dude, finished at the rim. Of course, he had the play where he just absolutely, shook Aaron Gordon out of his shoes with, a double step back before he, hesitated and got to the rim. And then the new 3-point, hang dribble, pull up is just amazing. The fact that he has that in his bag now, ridiculous. The transition pull up, ridiculous. But the thing that most impressed me about Shai's game, just from a development standpoint, is something I've been talking about in the offseason. His playmaking has taken a leap, and it's out of necessity because, we don't have a guy like Josh Giddey that is, A, a really good passer, but B, taking up a lot of usage. So somebody has to take those ball handling reps, and there's a lot of speculation that it was going to be Jalen Williams, Case Wallace, Chet Holmgren even. And Chet, to his credit, had some good playmaking moments, and Dub kind of had an off game, and maybe that changes. But it was so obvious Shai was going to make a playmaking leap, and we saw breadcrumbs of it. And in the Olympics, those 8 assists, man, it's not just him just passing to get an assist. He was moving the ball. He was an active playmaker in this offense. And some of the best plays that he made weren't even him scoring, him driving and bringing 2 guys with him to the rim and just dumping it off to Kaysen for an easy reverse layup. Yep. Pristine. The biggest play of the game, as you talked about, where Chet blocked Jokic, Kaysen got the rebound. He drove up the court, got to the left wing, kicked it to Shai at the top of the right wing. As soon as Shai got the back, touch pass, bounce pass, right in Chet's breadbasket to set him up for the dunk. Just beautiful vision, beautiful anticipation about where Chet's going to be, making the quick decision with the basketball in his hands. Shai was just phenomenal, man. He's going to be a truck this year. And he didn't even have the best game that he could have as a scorer. He still has steps to take, but yeah, he's going to be insane.
I was going to mention that. It's crazy that he had the stat line that he had, and you look back at some of these shots that he missed, and it's he normally makes those. There was, especially in the very beginning, I know everybody on the team was pretty rusty, but he had some layups that were just missed, and he had some.
Him and Kaysen on that fast break.
Those 2 missed shots on the fast break, and then it ended up being a Chet and one. It was what is this? I'm glad we got 3 points out of it.
Just we drew it up.
Yeah, I don't remember if Chet made that free throw or not, so maybe it wasn't 3 points. But the missed shots were crazy, and not even easy layups, but even slightly harder ones, these kind of elbow jumpers that he was missing were just and it's not that I'm sort of surprised by it because it's game 1 out of 82, but it's sort of it's more I'm more optimistic of it than anything, just because of the fact that I personally think that this was pretty much approximately a 75% Shai offensively. And if that's 75% Shai and he's putting up 28, 7, and 8, that's dangerous. That's dangerous for the league. And I also think it's worth pointing out, and we'll probably get to some of these other guys, but the playmaking, like you mentioned, the guys on the court that are part of that playmaking, you mentioned Kaysen, and Chet was part of a lot of those assists too. Was it's the fact that there's other guys besides the superstars of the team that can finish plays and put pressure off of Shai to allow him to not have to put up 40 points a night or whatever. Yeah. And I think in a way that allows him to put up 40 points even more so because there's not that pressure on him. And you kind of saw it tonight because it was a very kind of casual 28 points that he put up tonight. It was on 24 attempts, so it wasn't very efficient, but it wasn't necessary for him to really do that much, even though he did. And I think it was very rusty. It was not a great game from the whole team, and it wasn't a spectacular performance from Shai, but it was still very solid and something that you can definitely build off of and look to and say, this is going to be, if he shakes this off and continues to improve as the games go on, a dangerous guy.
Yeah, I mean, and it's important to know, like he was still awesome. Like in terms of like opening games, like Shai's probably in like the top like 5 or 6 like of like the players in the NBA, if not even higher. But also to note, like I mentioned the stock market's back. Like, dude, like obviously we know Chet's gonna be just racking up stocks with the blocks and 2 steals for Chet, which was really impressive. Like he did a great job of denying Jokic in the post because both
they
of his
were both
steals,
deflections.
Both
that. And that was again to the physicality of Chet too, like the ability to get your hand in without fouling. That's a very athletic play there.
Yeah, and then the blocks, like they were all just physical blocks. Like it wasn't like blocking a layup. Like it was like out of the post. Like I'm trying to dunk on your head kind of blocks. So, and then on the Shai side, like it's just him being opportunistic. Like it's funny. I pulled a clip of like all their blocks and steals. Talking about the stock market. Like Chet's like very much look like forcing the issue like blocks and steals. Shai is just like, I'm just going to like stick my hand in here real quick. Like just very opportunistic, like help side defense stuff. And, I mean, it works. Like, it gives you free possessions and, it gets you those stocks. But like a couple of those steals, one of them was just like a bad pass. Shai went and grabbed it. That was actually the fast break where he and Kaysen missed it and Chet got the M1. And then the other steal that he got was late in the game where I think we were up like 16 points at this point. And I think it was Jokic. He just had a bad pass, and it looked like it was going to go out of bounds on the OKC side. But like out of nowhere, nobody else is going for it. Shai turned on the afterburners, ran the ball down, and then they tried to get back on defense, and he did a nice little reverse layup to really just cap off the game. Like that was, I mean, it was over a long time ago before that, but like that was like the dagger. And it just goes to show you the culture that OKC has and that Mark Daigneault and Sam Presti have established. Like Shai is like out hustling everybody on the floor when they're up 16 points. Like Lou Dort was diving on the floor. When
I was going to mention that. Yeah, like, I think also what's interesting is the play that everybody's looking at, and to tie into that, the reason Chet had a dunk to begin with is because Jokic was complaining to the ref about Chet fouling him on the block. Mm-hmm. If you go back and watch it, he's literally turned around talking to the ref while Chet's going by him. Like that's sort of that culture thing that's different between us and many other teams.
Yep. Absolutely, man. And that's my first absolutely in a while. But yeah.
Absolutely.
Shai and Chet was awesome, like 100%. Like if you're talking about like your stars coming to play, like our stars came to play. So, Tierney, I'm going to kick it to you, man. What is your next thing large item? And I think I have an idea.
Yeah, I'll go with the man who saved basketball.
The man who saved basketball.
I want to maybe add a little bit to that. I want to say, well, actually, let me say this first. I already said it earlier, but guys like Wiggins are the reason Shea can be an MVP this year. That's the reason. Like the ability for teams to have to worry about a guy like Aaron Wiggins, who, frankly, in my opinion, is still, despite the fact that we just paid him in the offseason, still undervalued, still a guy that most teams do not know, or like most fan bases, I should say, do not know, is crazy because he is so underappreciated.
Mm-hmm.
His improvement from last year to now on, or I guess in one game, but still, his ability to finish at the rim is special. He is a special player. He had so many shots tonight, not tonight, last night, where I don't know where I'm at, Dill. I guess I'm like a day behind.
You've done it a lot without catching it, so it's funny when you catch
Have
it.
I?
Yeah.
Crap. I'm so sorry.
It's all good. Everybody knows what you mean.
Yeah. I'm still in yesterday. Anyway, the ability to like finish at the rim when there's guys all over you, his ability to get past his defender, the one in particular was the pump fake on, I think it was Strother, and that finish was, it's just so good. It's not even good for a bench player. It's just good for like any player. And he's so fundamentally sound in everything that he does, not just like with the ball, but every time there's a shot put up, he's just finding the nearest guy and boxing him out. And to be honest, and this isn't to discredit Chet by any means for his 14 rebounds, but there were times where the reason Chet got a rebound was because Wiggins was boxing out a guy that happened to be next to Chet and he got the rebound. Like those
Stevens Adams and
he Stevens Adams, like those types of plays don't get appreciated enough. And it's so important for a team. And I just want to say, with all of that said, Wiggins saved basketball. We all know that. Yeah. Wiggins saved fundamental basketball. That's what I'm saying, because he is so fundamentally good at what he does, and just like quote unquote fundamental basketball as a whole. I was so impressed by so much of his stuff offensively. I didn't make a lot of like notes or mental notes defensively, but I know like defensively everybody in that second half was awesome, and I think he was in the mix a little bit too. But his offense was stuck out to me so much. I was so impressed. 7 of 9, like by far the best efficient player on the team. Maybe you could argue Chet was a little bit more, but the game was just. It was slow for Wiggins. He was seeing the court so well. So Aaron Wiggins saved fundamental basketball is my final thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I would add to that Aaron Wiggins saved winning basketball, because I've been saying till I'm blue in the face since Aaron Wiggins has been here, like this guy is the guy that just comes in and makes winning plays. And he's going to be a guy that when it comes time to like for us to be winning, he's going to come in to make those winning plays. And I made the remark on Twitter, and I talked to you guys about it in the chat, but the more I look at it, like Aaron Wiggins got paid in the offseason and he turned into our Andre Iguodala. Everybody's talking about like Alex Caruso being like the Derek White of the trade deadline, like it being our missing piece. But like Aaron Wiggins has developed into our version of Andre Iguodala. Like I call him Wiggs all the time on the timeline. I'm about to start calling him Wiggy because it's like Iggy. It's Andre Iguodala. But yeah, man, like you were saying, just the maturation of him. Like a lot of guys, he had like clear drives to the to the rim where there's just like one person there at the bottom, right in front of the rim. And a lot of guys would try to just dunk on him. And, you have like a 50-50 chance. Like maybe you dunk on him and you get the points and you get the highlight, and maybe you get fouled and, you're just going to the line for 2. Instead, he pulls it down, double clutches, and tries to get and succeeds in getting the bucket and going to the line. And it's just like, high IQ plays like that. He had the beautiful spin move in transition. He had the circus shot of just like a floater in transition. Of course, he had a dribble pull up 3 in transition. Like he was absolutely insane. Also he was the 3rd leading scorer for OKC with 15 points. Also the 3rd leading rebounder, tied with Alex Caruso with 6 rebounds, 2 blocks. A lot of nights that's going to be like high on the block list. Of course, Shea and Chet kind of went nuts in the block department, but 3rd highest in blocks as well. Efficiency, definitely the most efficient with 77.8, 7-9 from the field, 1 of 2 from the 3-point line. And if you're looking at true shooting percentage, 83.3%. That's pretty
By
good.
far the best on the team. Real quick, I do want to apologize to Aaron Wiggins and his family. I put a tweet out. I was watching on my TV because it was on national television. I thought it was Jalen Williams who did that pull-up 3 that you just mentioned. It was not. It was Aaron Wiggins. So I just hand up. My apologies. That's on me.
Well, Dub also made one. But
he
it
did,
was like
and that's probably why I got it confused. But it's that. To be fair, they have very similar hairstyles right now, and they have very similar builds. And my TV is not very good definition, so please forgive me for that.
I think we could show you some grace. Real quick before we move on, shout out Matt in the chat. Sets up, y'all. We got T in the chat, of course, saying getting wiggy with it. Appreciate you guys tuning in. If you're in the chat and you have any questions or anything you want to add about the game, feel free to drop it in there. We'll definitely talk about it. But until then, I'm going to move on to my single large item. And I'm very excited for this because let's just say a lot of people wrote this guy off, and he didn't write back. Ousmane Dieng was the unsung hero of the night, man.
I thought you were going to go with, actually, but go off.
Well, hey, listen. So it wasn't like a runaway, but we were down, I think, 4 points whenever Ooze checked in. It was 21-17. And as we said, throughout the recap, OKC just felt like they were wound up so tight. Like, I don't even think it was rust. I think that they were just, they were wound up so tight. They were making mistakes. They were forcing shots. They were missing bunnies. And they just needed a stabilizing force. Yes, Dieng gang rise up. Absolutely, Matt. But Ooze checks in, immediately gets a shot in the corner, misses it. Goes out of bounds. We retain possession. Alex Caruso takes the ball on the baseline, passes it cross court to Ooze in the exact same spot. All right. And one of the biggest knocks that people have with Ousmane Dieng is his confidence. Everybody feels like Ooze doesn't play with confidence. And for a guy in his first NBA season, first NBA game in his 3rd season, where a lot of people have already wrote him off, ready to trade him off into the sunset, doesn't fit the timeline. He has an opportunity because of injuries, comes in, just missed his first 3, exact same spot, puts it up again, knocks it down with confidence. Couple minutes later, I think it was actually like 3 minutes later, if you clock it.
After, yeah.
Exact same spot, knocks down another 3. And that's all he did scoring wise. He had 3 rebounds, which, in the limited time, I think he played 9 minutes, and the fact that he had 6 points, 3 rebounds, I think that's, that's pretty good. Like, that's all that we were asking for. But the thing about it is that was a stabilizing force. Like, after that, it's like it was kind of like a chance to exhale a little bit, and the Thunder started playing more loose, and we started, putting together runs, and we started to look more comfortable and look more like the team that we saw in the preseason, and that's really when we started to put the screws to Denver, and started to extend our lead, take the lead into halftime, and I mean, I'm not going to say Ousmane Dieng's the reason we won the game, but he's not the reason we won. But I will say, and I'm not trolling. I'm not just doing this because the whole Jane Gang thing. I think his impact was tangible, and I think that it was very important to this game.
Yeah, I didn't really think about it until you said it, but you're probably right in the stabilizing force, because those threes both happened at the very end of that sort of run that they went on, where they were originally down like I think 10 or 12. By the time he hit the first three, I think they took a lead, and then Nuggets came back a little bit, and then he hit another three, and I don't know what it was, like maybe a tied or down one at that point. But yeah, those threes were huge. Like, I don't think he's gonna necessarily do that every night. That'd be awesome if he did. I'd be down for it. I am a part of Jane Gang again after this game. I can say I renewed
snap.
I renewed my membership. I brought my card in to the dealer, and I was like, please add some money to this card so I can renew it. But I don't know yet if I'm going to continue to subscribe to my membership. If he continues with those 3-point flurries, absolutely, I love that. Like that's going to be such a stabilizing force, like you said, and just another piece to the incredible depth that we have on this team, which is ultimately why I think we beat the Nuggets in general tonight, was because we had so much more depth. We can add more of it. That's going to allow us to beat even better teams than the Nuggets. No offense to them, but larger depth teams than the Nuggets are out there somewhere. And so if we can get Jang to do that consistently, that is for sure a point of emphasis. But I mean, besides those threes, I think I was hoping to see a little bit more aggression from him attacking the basket. I still think that's something that we're not going to get for a while, but at the very least, tonight was all. God damn it! Yesterday night was awesome, and we're just going to relish in those successes for now.
Yeah, and like I think it's very important at this stage, like while Ooze is building confidence, to just play within yourself. Like I think he got to a point where he got the ball. I don't know if it was off a rebound, but he brought it down court. He was dribbling the ball down court, and he was at the top of the 3-point line. And I even said, like, I said out loud, like, don't force anything. Just like give the ball up, go relocate. Like, no reason to force anything. You're in the fan base's good graces right now. Don't screw it up, basically.
For the love of God, please.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed Ooze's minutes, and I thought he was good defensively too. He registered a block, but positionally. Yep. I thought, he was in the right place, right time, plus 14, plus minus. So, yeah, shout out Ooze. Since we've already done 2 each, I'm going to go kind of weasel in as we go into the leftovers, because I tweeted this out because they came in together. So, Cason Wallace was the first sub off the bench, but the 2 subs that came in together was Ousmane Dieng and Alex Caruso. And I called this the Caruso Show. And
nice. I see what you did there.
It flows amazingly, right?
It does.
But no, Alex Caruso had such a tangible impact on this game. Plus 19 in the box score plus minus, had 6 rebounds, 4 assists.
0
that
points.
Was it. If you are looking at his box score,
0 points.
That is all he did. But if you watch this game, the moment he checked in, there was one possession where he invoked Andre Robertson because he was chasing dudes all around the perimeter. Yeah. A pass went to the corner, closed out. Pass went back up top. He was relocating, got back in, and, closed out on that. They kicked it to the wing, forced a turnover on Jamal Murray. Like, immediate defensive impact. And the defensive intensity throughout the game, like when he was on the floor, again, just so obvious, so apparent what he brings to this team. I don't fully understand why he only played 19 minutes. I would like to see him play a little bit more. And maybe he does, when Hartenstein comes in, maybe he is that 5th starter. And they're just kind of like looking at different rotations with Hartenstein out. But yeah, man, like it's so obvious he fits in. It's so obvious he belongs, and he's not going to shoot 0 for 2 every night. Like he's going to have his buckets. He's a good 3-point shooter. And he makes the right decision almost every time with a basketball in his hand. So yeah, I love what I saw out of Caruso. I would say that, Kaysen had an all right game. Like, let's call it what it is. But I would say that Caruso, Ousmane Dieng, and Aaron Wiggins off the bench were huge reasons why we were able to win this game.
Interesting question in the chat. It's a little relevant. What do we call the defensive duo of Caruso and Queso? Potential option is the Clamp Show. We do need to workshop that.
Interesting.
All right, we'll have to get back to you on that. Maybe we'll have it next episode.
Oh, he's calling them guard dogs.
The guard dogs, yeah.
Then with Lou Dort.
Yeah, I always forget his name.
Michael Martin,
yes. Great video on that. But I don't know. We'll have to workshop something for the podcast, maybe. Because I do think those two are going to be kind of like a mentor-mentee type of duo eventually.
I used to call them the latch, or I used to call Kaysen and Lou last season. I called them the latch bros. Whenever I was doing my game day tweet, and I was like, I was trying to come up with like a clever thing for them matching up with Steph and Clay, and I said the Splash Bros meet the Latch Bros. So there you go.
Yeah. Also, I was just checking into the MLB. The Yankees lost, unfortunately.
Freddie Freeman hit a walk-off home run.
Dang, Rip Cone in the Yankees.
Cone.
Apologies. But yeah, Epson Chaffer Cone. It's so funny that Caruso had 0 points and plus 19. It's just like, that's, like you said, he's not going to do that every night, but the fact that he did is very Caruso-esque in that he just makes impacts in other ways. And that one you mentioned with Murray, where he like kind of just jostled it out of there and it ended up being a possession for the Thunder was crucial. Kaysen, I'm worried about a little bit offensively. I thought he felt a little bit lost out there tonight. I don't know if that is continuous. I obviously hope not. But I remember, Dolan was on this pod last week on the Friday show and kind of mentioned I think he graded Kaysen a lot lower than I did at the time, which at the time I disagreed with because I thought his preseason was pretty good, but tonight's offense was like, that's not good. But his defense was still there. Like he's still disruptive in passing lanes and on ball but yeah, we mentioned that transition play where he just kind of like threw it up there. He had a couple other plays that was just kind of felt lost, and it was like, he's a sophomore, he's young, he's not gonna necessarily be perfect every night, but was hoping for a little bit more out of him, and hopefully it's a fluke. Hopefully we see a little bit more against the Bulls and the Hawks next couple of nights. But it was definitely something that I remember leaving that game and being like, man, I wish Kaysen did a little bit better. Part of it was because I had a parlay with him to make 1-3, but other than that, it was pretty meh game from Kaysen overall.
Yeah, I mean, most of the team missed their threes tonight.
The shooting was overall not great, but I think it was the finishing. It was the finishing and the way in which he was driving. Didn't feel confident and just felt like he wasn't in control. That was the part that was sort of like, all right, let's take a step back here.
I think he's still getting accustomed to this new role because last year he was basically a 3-and-D guard and he thrived in that role. But the Thunder know, Kaysen knows that he could be so much more than that. And they're challenging him to do that. And, it's a much smaller version, but just like whenever Shea took the keys after Chris Paul left, we all knew Shea was capable of that, but we also knew that it was going to take time and that he was going to fail at times. In order to get better, you have to fail. because you have to try stuff. So I'm okay with, Kaysen kind of going through these, these bumps and bruises because we are so deep. And
right.
I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, but I think that, he can kind of go through that experimentation of like his style of play while still providing an impact defensively and just knowing where to be offensively. Like, I think really just the main thing is he's getting used to driving more, because usually if the ball touched his hands, he was passing it or he was shooting it. He didn't have a lot of drive in him last year. So I think he's just kind of reaccustoming himself, but I think he'll be all right in the long run.
Yeah, I think so too.
Some of the guys in the chat were talking about AJ Mitchell.
Those are some weird minutes.
Getting into this game. T and Matt both talking about it. So those AJ Mitchells is about him on the bench quite all right. Like, he was fine. Like, it was really funny. I was rooting for him to get a bucket because it was very clear that like he wanted to get that first bucket. He was 0-3, 0-1 from the 3-point line. I really thought that three was going to go in straight away, wide open, just missed. But looked comfortable with the ball in his hands. Creating opportunities for his teammates. Ended up getting an assist and also had one rebound. I think that it was really interesting to see him on the floor ahead of Dylan Jones, for instance, because this is a game that you would think you need more physicality. But it turned out all right, and I enjoy when AJ Mitchell's on the floor for sure.
Yeah, it was definitely some interesting choices like in the rotation. I did not expect AJ to be in the game at the time he was in there, where we were down at the time, I think. But, it was some good ball handling minutes. Kind of like what you said, he didn't do too much. I think he had like maybe an assist and a rebound, but he was definitely like being able to like sort of run the offense a little bit. But I think my take on it is that I think it was more of an experimental choice by Mark. I don't know if that's going to be a consistent exposure for him to get those types of minutes. Kind of like what you said earlier, I think Caruso probably needs some more of those minutes. But yeah, it was cool. It was a cool little spurt.
I will say that, Mark does this, especially like in the beginning of the season. Like, he'll trickle in minutes from the G League guys. So I would expect, Dylan Jones to get, a little bit more of an extended look. Adam Flagler to get a more extended look. At Alex Dukas as well. Just until the G League season starts and those guys, are kind of not relegated to the G League, but, that's kind of their home. They'll be brought up every now and then, but it's very Mark Daigneault to, kind of give those guys some run while they're in the game. I'm trying to see. So T said in the chat that they surrounded AJ Mitchell with a lot of defensive personnel. I was just trying to see what.
I don't remember the lineups. I didn't make note of it. But
so he entered for Ousmane Dieng. Jalen Williams was in. Alex Caruso was in. I think Chet was in, and Aaron Wiggins. No, Chet was not in. Okay, so it was actually Kaysen, Aaron Wiggins, Alex Caruso, and Jalen Williams. That's a really small lineup, but a lot of fun.
And pretty defensively minded too. I don't think that's a lineup. I don't think that's a choice he makes with Hartenstein in the rotation, which I guess is a little bit obvious, but it was, like I said, it was fun. I didn't really have much to say on him because other than the fact that it was interesting that he was in the lineup and we saw that he was able to be competent in.
It was a real double take moment.
Yes, it was a real double. Like, I was sort of questioning whether I was seeing AJ Mitchell on the floor or not. But the choice was pretty interesting, and I think like you said, I was a bit surprised that if AJ Mitchell was getting in, that Dylan Jones wouldn't have seen some minutes too. But mean, he got like a minute at the end.
Yeah, that's
Like
garbage.
he was garbage time for sure. So yeah, I don't know. I I guess I don't have like a formulated take on that, but he was in there.
Yeah, and honestly, Usman Jang's probably a similar case. Like you're talking about, like I don't think AJ Mitchell gets in with us at Hartenstein. I'm not gonna say that.
I think
Uz
Ooze gets
wouldn't.
in with Hardenstein.
Yeah, I'm
For
not
sure.
saying that he wouldn't, but I would say that he also falls into the category of he's getting extended run at the beginning of the season because
Yeah.
the D League's not in. Like I'm not so disillusioned in Jang Gang that I think that Usman Jang is just like burned a spot in the rotation. I do think he'll get some run in the G League this year as well as with the Thunder, but I definitely think that the G League not being a thing right now and Hartenstein not playing and Kenrich Williams and Jalen Williams not playing also adds into that. So kind of moving on. The only other thing, so like off shooting night for Dort and Jalen Williams. We don't really got to talk about that. I think they'll be fine.
I did like Dub's confidence. I will say that. I did like Dub's confidence in the shots he did take. He was 2 of 8 from 3, but like the one of the 2 threes he did take was like a real deep 3. And it was pretty much like a catch and shoot 3 and no hesitation there. So I just like the confidence is what I'll just say about that.
Had a couple of nice tries too.
Yeah.
A couple like again, like double between the legs, just like drive the dude on their hip, and had a couple M1s. So love the aggression that we've seen out of Dub. Didn't see as much of the mid range out of him. It was kind of like threes and layups. Very, very Daryl Morey of Jalen Williams last night. But yeah, I mean, still had a nice impact on the game. Like would have liked to see more scoring, but 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, 5 turnovers. Definitely got to clean that up, but I think he'll be all right. Also, coming off of an injury, I don't want to say he got rushed back or anything like that. Like this isn't a Kawhi situation.
It's not a Clipper situation, that's for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, not a Kawhi situation, but yeah, I think he'll be all right. I do want to say, yeah. That's the best way to put it. The windmill cross to a dunk tee. That was the play that I was like, okay, like calm down, Dub. Like that was insane. Shout out to Matthew Weiser in the chat. Said most underrated part of the night is Chet being referred to as the long arm of the law. Is that another Abraham? Is that another Abraham Lincoln reference?
I think we can make that a shirt. Long arm of the law.
It just have his arm outstretched, and then it just like says it on there, like the gears are turning.
Some lawyer Abe Lincoln-esque type thing. Yeah. I could see that. We'll think. We got stuff cooking for merch. We got stuff cooking for the merch for sure.
Yeah, Better Call Saul font, and it says long arm of the law, and that's Chet Holmgren on there.
I like that.
Yeah, last thing I want to say about the game, Isaiah Joe got the start. A lot of people thought that it was going to be Alex Caruso, Aaron Wiggins, Casey Wallace. Yours truly said very early on that I think Isaiah Joe would be the starter in the starting lineup because, A, it works, and B, that was the last lineup that we saw. And if there's anything I know about Diggs, like he loves continuity. I know he said before the game the starting lineup will be fluid, and we'll see if that's the case. We're playing the Bulls, we're playing the Hawks, 2 very different teams. We'll see if we go with Isaiah Joe or if we want to get a different look. I would like to see Alex Caruso in the starting lineup. I'd like to see Aaron Wiggins in the starting lineup.
I think regardless, it'll be different. I think Mark's going to do a lot of experimenting, especially with Hart out.
But game 1, I was right. So there you go.
You were right. Credit to you.
Let it be known. But as we close the book on this game, as we said, it was a very exciting game. Awesome opening to the game. Like, it's cool going like player by player, beat by beat. But the story of the game, I really think, was the Thunder's defense. Absolutely. Because the Nuggets had 87 points. And I think I heard that the Nuggets scored under 90 points last year only twice. And it was at Denver, one of the hardest places to play because of the atmosphere, the team, and the altitude. And the fact that we was able to just take all that, throw it out the window, and just lock in and put the screws to them defensively, very impressive. And we don't even have Hartenstein out there yet, so it's just going to get better.
And we didn't really talk about the defense much early, but like Christian Braun was just dicing up this team early. It was crazy. Yeah. And then the shift was so fascinating because, and I if you're a Nuggets fan, I would be a little bit worried because the Thunder basically just said, okay, we're not going to let you do that. We're not going to let you just like drive in and get these easy buckets. We're going to let you shoot the three. And nobody showed up. Like nobody did. Michael Porter Jr. was 3 of 10. And we love Russell Westbrook. He's not a 3-point shooter. He was 1 of 6. And nobody else showed up. And I think they even mentioned on the broadcast, nobody besides Michael Porter Jr. is like an established shooter, and he missed 7 threes tonight. So that was very clearly their mantra defensively. It was like, hey, we will let you shoot the three. We're not going to contest it, but if you try to drive on us, if you try to pass cross court, we are going to intercept it. We're going to disrupt everything in the passing lane. You have to beat us with the three, and they just didn't do it. And that's the fact that they were that successful is very promising for other teams that are subpar at 3-point shooting. Obviously, like teams that are, like the Celtics, for example, that's not going to work very well. But the other potential teams like that we have a couple of them potentially coming up that might not be great 3-point shooting. Defensively, that's a great strategy, and it's going to be an interesting defensive tactic going forward.
Yeah,
but
I'm sorry, I saw this comment from T, and I was just laughing because I feel like the sun is getting real low for us.
Don't be so. Let's just don't say it out loud. Don't say the quiet part out loud.
It hurts.
Don't say the quiet part out loud.
Hey, he did have a sick block on Shea in transition.
He had 2 sick blocks.
Yeah.
See the other one? He's got that athleticism in him.
He does.
Just not the shot. Sorry.
Hey, stuffed the stat sheet. Yeah, he had a 6.55 and 1 and 2. So, shout out Russ. All right, we've talked about this game for an hour, Tierney. We have some other things to talk about that we want to talk about. Real quick, something that I wanted to say. I toyed with the idea of doing like prediction mulligans because, just as a fun segment, but also I was very high on the Pacers going into the season. And I'm not going to say I'm less high. Like, I wasn't actually going to take the mulligan. I was just going to kind of bring it up. But, man, Tyrese Halliburton having 0 points in the Garden tonight.
Bad.
Feels bad, man. The shooting the night before, or not the night before, the game before against the Pistons, it was rough. I thought that, we was going to see pre-injury Halliburton shooting, and so far we absolutely have not. I'm actually hang on. I got to pull this up because I think it's important. I need to see it.
I will just say while you're pulling that up, I did have Halliburton 31.5 points, rebounds, assists, and he had 6.
He had
total.
6.
He had 6. It was just not even close. That bet was so dead as soon as that happened. Didn't have a great day overall, but that one in particular was, that was tough. And to be fair, also that parlay was like pretty close to hitting too. Now I'm looking back at it. I just needed Evan Mobley like a couple more points. Would have gotten that, but nothing from Tyrese.
Tierney, this hurts. Tyrese Halliburton is 1 of 16 from 3 on the year.
He might be part of my hater parlay. I might have to go under on him next game.
It hurts because I love Howie's game. Like when Howie's on, he's one of the most exciting players to watch in basketball. But
he is.
He has not been on. Somebody that has been on, though, somebody that I was also high on in the offseason, the Charlotte Hornets, which they lost tonight to the Hawks in what was just an offensive explosion game. But LaMelo Ball has looked insane recently. 34 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists tonight. Hit 9 of 14 from 3-point line, which just crazy volume, crazy efficiency. And then also the other night,
Trey popping off.
Oh, yeah, here we go. The other night he had 34 points, 8 rebounds, 11 assists, had 4-12 from 3. And then, of course, Trey Mann has been crazy. Tricky Trey, Spider-Man, he had 24-6 and 1, 8 of 16 shooting, 4 of 8 from 3 the other night. And then tonight he had a little bit more of a quiet game, but still had 17 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. Didn't shoot as efficiently, but still providing that punch off the bench. And I've said it once, I'll say it again, man. The Hornets are a fun team. And I think that they are going to surprise people before they finish in the East this year. I think that they can make the play-in game. And I think that they could potentially, lock up a seat in the playoffs. And I think that they're going to be a fun team to watch. They're going to be a fun team to play. And the Thunder actually play them in Oklahoma City on March 21st. And if you're listening to this podcast, if you're watching this video, or if you follow us on Twitter, you can go to that game and experience it not just by yourself, but with us, everybody at OKC Top of Thunder, because this is the Top of Thunder fan event. It is our 3rd annual fan event in which the Thunder are playing the Charlotte Hornets. The link is in our Twitter at OKC Topic Thunder. Follow us while you're there. Tierney does a great job. The link will be in the episode descriptions, but basically the 411 is you buy your ticket. I think the most expensive ticket is like $90, lower arena, and then you have club option and you have upper arena option. So whatever your price point you're trying to meet, we can meet that for you. I think we're the only podcast like group event that offers 3 options. So very excited about that. You get to see a really fun game. You get to see a Trey Mann quote unquote revenge game. And of course you get to see the Oklahoma City Thunder and all their glory as well. LaMelo Ball, an all-star, all-NBA caliber talent, as Cone said.
Some are saying.
Cone said today that if LaMelo stays healthy, he can flirt with all-NBA. So I didn't say that. Brandon Miller.
Promo, Cone. Great promo.
Yes. Brandon Miller's not even playing right now because he's hurt. He's literally butt hurt. He has a strained glute muscle. It's crazy. But very young, exciting player. Would love to see him live as well. They've got a lot of very young, exciting players that we can that match up with the Thunder. After the game, we'll all go down to the court, take a big group photo. Then you get to take a half-court shot for your chance to win an autographed basketball by not just one player on the team, the entire Oklahoma City Thunder roster. And this is the roster that you want to get the signature for. So, and let me tell you, we are competing in this as well. And I'm not going to give you guys, I'm not going to take it easy on you guys just because you're the listeners and you're coming to our event. I'm trying to put that basketball right here, brother.
No. Who thinks that just any random fan is going to get this ball and walk away? Like, no, we're getting this. We're going to try to get this.
Absolutely. And I will say, I hit back rim first year. Last year, I think I hit side rim. This year, it's nothing but net.
I hit backboard 2 times in a row. Consistency is key. Just got to bank it in this time.
Where at on the backboard?
Doesn't matter.
Love it. But yeah, definitely tap into that link because tickets are on sale. It's not a matter of if they sell out. It's a matter of when they sell out because the Thunder team, very good. People want to be a part of that. Charlotte team, very fun. Trey Mann, awesome. We love him. These tickets are going to sell out. So get your tickets today. Don't delay. With that being said, let's take a break to hear a word from our sponsors, and we are going to look at not the next week, but the next couple of games for the Thunder. And we're back after a word from our sponsors. Guys, we talked extensively about the Thunder's regular season opener against the Denver Nuggets. We plugged our awesome Top of Thunder fan event, and now we're going to be talking about the next couple of games for the Thunder, basically just the 2 games that we play before we podcast again on Tuesday. So first of which we play tomorrow. If you're on the East Coast like me, it's actually today. We play the Chicago Bulls and former Thunder Josh Giddey. They actually pulled a shocker tonight and beat the Milwaukee Bucks. Behind the hot shooting of Tierney's pride and joy, Kobe White. Tierney, did you see Kobe White's stat line?
I'm looking it up right now.
35 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals,
Lord.
7 of 13 from 3.
Oh, my Lord. Someone other than Cam Johnson has arrived. Thank goodness.
Feels good for the Tar Heels. Giddey had 17, 6, and 9 as well. Only had 1 turnover with that 9 steals, and he hit 2 threes. So 60% from the field. So Giddey had himself a good game. I put out a tweet earlier today, and I'm standing by it because I don't care how good Giddey played against the Milwaukee Bucks. I think we are an infinitely better team than the Bucks, defensively, offensively, what have you. I said, Lord, forgive the Thunder for what they are about to do to Josh Giddey defensively. Because it is going to be, it's going to be a bloodbath, man. Like, we talked about in the Olympics about Jordan and Pippen playing against Tony Kukoc. I remember back in the day when the Harden trade happened and he kind of forced his way out and, went to the Houston Rockets the first time the Thunder played the Rockets at home. And it was like there was a bounty on him, man. Like just swatting a shot, like picking his pocket, like just picking on him defensively because everybody knows he's not a good defender. And it was just a bloodbath. And I expect that to kind of be the same with Josh Giddey. T is asking, do we put Chet on Giddey next game? I could absolutely see it. Chet just had to be physical, man up with Nikola Jokic for the entire game last game. I could absolutely see us kind of cross-matching, putting Chet on Giddey, letting Rome off of Giddey because I don't care if he shot 2 of 2 tonight. I don't expect it to happen again. And you just have Chet as a weak side help defender, kind of shutting down the lane for Zach LaVine, Kobe White, the drivers of the Chicago Bulls. So I think it's going to be nuts. I think that the Thunder are going to win. I think they're going to win handily. And I think that they're going to make life very difficult for Josh Giddey specifically. But yeah.
I think they're going to win both games you've mentioned, the Bulls and the Hawks. One of those games they're going to win by 20-plus points. I don't think it's this game. I'm worried about this game, to be honest. Maybe it's a little bit of PTSD from the Detroit Pistons afternoon games of yore, where the game seems like it should be easy. It should be well in grasp, and then we just don't play up to our standards. Mark does say 0-0 every game. That mantra is apparent in this culture, so I will trust that. But you're coming off of a game on national television where you just had a dominant performance. Everybody, is excited about that. The shooting was not up to standards, and that's sometimes something that doesn't happen overnight. Those things, coupled with the fact that now looking back at the game with the Bulls tonight, they are coming off of a back-to-back, so that is something to say. But, Kobe White, like you mentioned, great game. Giddey did have a clutch 3, as T mentioned in the chat.
I pushed back on that. I pulled up the play-by-play.
Whoa! The
Bulls were up 10 points with 2 minutes and 13 seconds left when Giddey hit his last 3-pointer. So I don't know if we consider that clutch.
It's clutch. It is within the realm of that definition. But regardless, Giddey.
I would say dagger. Because the Bucks called a timeout immediately after that. And then they subbed out all their guys very shortly after that as well. So yeah, we'll say dagger.
I think, besides those, Zach LaVine is probably playing for a new job somewhere else. I think there's
been playing good, by the way.
Yeah, been playing very well, as he should be. And I think all of those things could mean that this is a close game. I don't think we lose. I'm going to say this is a game within 10 points within clutch time. But ultimately, we win it by somewhere between 8 and 12. But I am a bit worried about this game, not to the point where we lose, but definitely something we should be just not. Don't. If you're a casual Thunder fan, don't just go make Saturday plans and pretend like this is a W. Just make sure you tune into this game.
Yeah, tune into every game if you can.
You should tune into every game, but just make sure this one. You know.
What'd you say the line was on this? It was like 9 points.
It's currently 9. 9 for the Thunder.
I'm taking the Thunder to cover.
That's a line that's real close. Like I said, 8 to 12. I think we could. I think it might be Thunder by 8. We're gonna do another segment, I think, in a little bit with the lines, but it's just that's so close.
Yeah,
so close.
It's all good. It's all good. All right, and then the Hawks game as well. I mean, they just like I said, they just played a really tough game against the Charlotte Hornets. Trying to pull up the stats here. So the Hawks are weird. I mean, Trey had a crazy game. He had 38 points, 10 assists, 8 rebounds, 4 steals
from Trey.
Yeah, I'm more impressed by the 8 rebounds, bro. That's crazy.
The rebounds too, but the 4 steals. God damn.
Yeah, they've got a young team, and DeAndre Hunter. He's not really young anymore, but he had 24 points. Dyson Daniels and Jalen Johnson. That young wing pairing.
Yeah, I love those two.
Very interesting stat sheet stuffers. Jalen Johnson tonight had 16, 7, 3, 2, and 2. Dyson Daniels had 18, 1, 4, 2, and 2. Trying to see. Yeah, Dyson Daniels hit 2 of 4 from the 3-point line. Dyson Daniels is low key, like, sneaky. I don't think he'll have the numbers to do it, but like sneaky most improved player. Like
I agree. Him and Jalen, I think, are both in that category. Like I love Dyson. But also
I love Dyson. I love Jalen Johnson. The one thing about Jalen Johnson, he was 4 of 15 from the field. He got most of his points from the free throw line. But yeah, I mean, still a very formidable team. Vic Krejci, Thunder legend, they got him. Zachary Risachet, of course, the number 1 pick. And Onyeka Okongwu, he only had 7 and 8 with 3 assists tonight, but I think the other night he absolutely went nuts.
He did. I remember he did
28 and 8 with 1 assist and 3 blocks.
11
to 12 from the field.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting, man. It'll be a fun game. I still think we win handily.
For sure. Yeah.
But
first home game.
First home game as well. Like energy should absolutely be there. And by the way, if you're listening to this and you live in the Oklahoma City area or you live near the Oklahoma City area and like you don't have like any pressing plans on Sunday, get to the arena. Like there's no reason this game shouldn't be sold out. Like this year aside, last year we were the youngest number 1 seed in NBA history. And like that was a phenomenal season. And like even if we suck this year, like you should go just to support the team, like in solidarity for what they did the year prior. But I mean, we're also really good this year. We're better this year. Like you want to be a part of this. So if you're able to, if you have the means, please go. Like there's no reason that there should be an empty seat in this arena for this game. I don't care if it's the Hawks, it's the Thunder. That's what you got to worry about. Batuni, do you have a line for this game?
The line's not going to be set because we have yet to play the Bulls.
Okay.
So I would say if we're let's say whose line is it anyway? Who's the TV show? We're gonna pretend like we have a line. I'm gonna say Thunder minus 13.
13 for the Hawks. Let me see what
I think the home opener is gonna add like 2 or 3 points. And I think we're probably 9 or 10 points better than the Hawks.
Yeah, I'm being honest, man. The Hawks have played the Nets and the Hornets, and like The Hornets are a fun team.
Hornets are good. I think the Hornets are a little good though.
But like we are classes ahead of them. I'm taking Thunder to cover.
Wow. I thought that was a solid line. But
it could be a solid line, but
yeah. You're just overconfident. That's great. Love that. Yeah, I'd probably take the over in this game. I don't know what the over is, but I think there's gonna be a lot of points in both of these games. Chicago more so. But I'm gonna take if I wrote the over, lock it in for both Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, and it is important to note. So we play back-to-back Saturday, Sunday, and then we have 2 days rest before we play the San Antonio Spurs on ESPN, and of course it's at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time because why wouldn't it be a late game?
Yeah, I work very late on Wednesday, so I'm a little appreciative of that. So,
all right, well they did it for you, Tierney.
They did. It's actually remarkable how many games are on Wednesdays this next month for us because I was looking at the schedule, trying to figure out with my work schedule how to watch all these, and this one in particular though is it's been nice that it's a little later.
All right. Well, our last segment, we're bringing back an oldie but a goodie. We might change the name eventually, but for now, money please.
Who, if anybody remembers a money please segment in the podcast, you are a real one.
I think you might have literally done it twice.
Maybe twice.
I can remember distinctively once when I wasn't
Definitely
on the
once.
pod, and then you did it once when I was on the pod. So I think you did it twice.
And it was 2019, I feel like.
Yeah.
So long ago. It was before COVID.
Definitely before COVID. But basically in this segment, me and Tierney are a bit we're not degenerates, but
we're not degenerates.
We do a little bit of sports betting here and there. And so what we're going to do is we're going to, whenever more people are on here, we could actually flesh out a 3-4 leg parlay that you could potentially bet on for the Thunder. But me and Tierney, what do you want to do? You want to do 2 props each?
Well, it depends on what you want to do because the Thunder lines, we only have the one for next game. So we also have player props. But we could make up some player props and
we could do alt lines or something.
Yeah, alt lines. Yeah. So maybe we do over under, and we already did plus or minus for the Hawks, but then we could do 1 player prop each, something like that.
Okay. Well, let
me pull it up, by the way. I have the Bet Online thing here.
Okay.
It just has the spread and the over under. I don't know if I can make it a little bit look nicer, but
yep. Sponsors once again, betonline.ag.
Not an ad. They already got their sponsorship, but
it's a shout out.
It's a shout out.
Yeah. So Thunder against the Bulls.
-9 for the Thunder and over under 230.5.
Yes, I already said I'm taking Thunder to cover, but if I'm going with a prop, I'm taking Jalen Williams. And what I'm going to take Jalen Williams for, I assume his line for the first game was 18.5. I assume since he had 13 points that it might drop to 17.5. If that is the case, I'm taking that. Honestly, if it's still 18.5, I'm still taking it. I think Dub had an uncharacteristically bad shooting night off of his first game after his ankle injury. I think he'll be good. I think that trying to pull up what he had. Where's it at? Okay, yeah, I found it. So he shot 5 of 16 from the field. And I'm sorry, that's just not happening again. If he makes 2 more of those buckets, he's already at 17 points. He also went 2 of 8 from the 3-point line. If one of those is a 3, he's already at 18. So I think that's, I'm going to say it's a lock. Jalen Williams points.
Yeah, that would have been my player prop too. I'll just go the over in this game, 230.5. It's a lot of points, but yeah, I think Chicago's defense is so bad, and the Bulls offense is pretty good. You know, like they have some good weapons on that team. I don't think we're gonna let up like a ton of points, but I think we might put up like 120 points in this game. So if that's the case and the spread is what it is, then do the math. I think that's 230.
Yeah, and also like I think that we've had some negative regression on the shooting. I think that we'll have some positive regression on the shooting, at least just a little bit. Like I don't think we're shooting like 8 for 30 or anything like that. Again, I think we'll shoot closer to 35, 36% at least. So as a team, and I think that will win to the points. If we're doing one more prop, just because feeling kind of dicey with it a little bit.
We could make up one for the Hawks game. Go to the next one. But it's just hard to say because we haven't played the game before. We don't have to. We could stick with the Bulls.
I'm gonna stick with the Bulls.
Okay.
And
I'm gonna go Kobe over threes.
No, what's his line? 2.5?
It's probably 2.5.
I'd be 3.5 now.
I don't think he can even make 3 threes against this Thunder defense though, so I'm not gonna do that. I was just saying stuff to say stuff. I gotta think a little bit about what I do there.
It's actually called semantics. All right, it's late. I don't care about positive, negative regression. He said, "Wouldn't that be ascension?" You're correct. I think the 3-point
positive recession,
3-point shooting ascends. So, yeah. If I'm going with another prop,
I think Shai's points might be down a little bit because of, well, maybe not.
I don't think so. Yeah, I think there's a chance that like Shai makes it a point to like call screens to switch to get Giddey on him, and he just cooks.
I think maybe Isaiah Joe might be down a little bit because of his shooting. That could be something.
It is weird. Zay seems to play better off the bench than when he starts.
Yeah.
But he does provide the spacing that we need. So
I might say over. I think the line might be 1.5 threes from Joe. I might take the over on that.
Yeah,
it's pretty.
That's
solid.
fair. I think that's definitely probably the line, based on who Isaiah Joe is and the fact that he only made one last game. I don't think the line will move. I think that's what the line was in game 1. So yeah, that works. So we're covering over on points, Dub over points, Isaiah Joe over threes.
Lock it in. I'll
Top
be doing
Thunder
that.
parlay.
We're doing that parlay. Please follow along if you are a fan.
Yeah, if I had any extra money to do it now, I would do it.
I will be betting within my means as a middle class American.
Of course, of course, we'll get Cone to do it too. So, all right, guys. With that being said, I think we're gonna go ahead and put this pod to a close. I want to thank everybody for listening, tuning in. Shout out to all the people in the chat for tapping in. The season is here. Like it's exciting times.
Exciting.
We're gonna have a lot for you guys this year. Obviously, Cone and Alex weren't able to be on, but we'll have Dolan Pod next Friday. I think is the plan. Yep. Jerry is starting to weave himself back in, try to get into it a little bit more. Moles as well. Already, like the gears are already turning on getting some guests to come in and talk about the Thunder. Not just like Thunder guys, but some of the outside guys. Our guys at Nerd Sesh, they do a great job. Esfandiar Barhani, who is actually part of the Athletic Daily podcast now. Shout out Ez for that accomplishment. Want to bring him on. Brett Usher, some of the NBA guys just kind of get their landscape on the league and where the Thunder stand, and basically just talk about how awesome we are. But if you're in the chat, whether you are in the chat right now or posthumously, retroactively, go ahead, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out when we go live. Follow us on Twitter at OKC Topic Thunder. As I said, the season is in full force. Kearney does a great job on getting the video clips out there pretty much faster than anybody else does, unless like Bali Sports posts the video clip. Tierney's best in the business on that end. So definitely follow the account for all the live game tweets. And also the link is pinned to the profile for the Top of Thunder fan event. Don't want to miss out on that. So I'm done rambling. It's very late. I apologize for the rambling. Hope everybody has a great night. God bless.